Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe.
WWE have announced the releases of Braun Strowman, Aleister Black, Buddy Murphy, Lana, Santana Garrett, and Ruby Riott. And this was first reported by Sean over at Fightful Select. SRS doing amazing work as per normal. And since we started putting the stream together, has now been officially confirmed by WWE. Pete, if you want to bring up the graphic that just came out then. Yep, WWE has come to terms the release of Braun Strowman, Aleister Black, Lana, Murphy, Ruby Riott, and Santana Garrett. WWE wishes them best in all of their future endeavors. Some of the names there. Oh, hello. I'm Luke. This is Pete. That down there is Mod Mother, and that is Tempest. First off, Pete and Tempest, apologies that this video is going to eat up your NXT podcast views.
It's going to absolutely butcher it, isn't it?
Oh, it's going to absolutely tank now, I'm afraid. It's got 2,000 now. I don't expect it to get any higher than that, so apologies for that first off. All joking aside, of course. Pete, you and I, when we first came onto this stream, you said, of all the names on that list, Braun Strowman was the one that surprised you the most.
Like, if I had to make a list, this would be a morbid list to make. If I had to make a list of people that I thought WWE were going to release, Braun Strowman would be, next to the bottom. More than Drew McIntyre, more than Bobby Lashley, more than, the only person that could probably be low is, Roman Reigns. Braun Strowman is a WWE guy from the bottom up. He's been there since day one. He's been built up in WWE. They love him so much. He's been given so many, he beat Goldberg, granted, by proxy because Reigns wasn't there, but he beat Goldberg at WrestleMania last year. They've constantly had him in top feuds. He beat Shane McMahon at this year's WrestleMania. He's been one of the top guys in WWE for years now, and they love that man. They gave him train noises. They love him. And now he's just gone for seemingly no reason at all. We have no idea why any of these releases have happened now. It's genuinely mind-blowing. I cannot wrap my head around it, especially Braun. Some of the other names as well, but especially Braun Strowman. I'm in disbelief. Genuinely am.
Jenna, the other name that really jumped out to me there was Aleister Black. And the reason why it jumps out to me is because when we did we only did this live stream, last month, where we had all the other releases like Samoa Joe and Peyton Royce and Billy Kay. And we were essentially almost waiting for Aleister Black's name to be said.
Yeah.
And the report was, Aleister Black's not going to be on this because he's just getting this massive push. They're doing all these video packages for him. He's going to come back to SmackDown and he's going to get a massive push. And now we are 2-3 weeks out from that, and he is one of the names that's on this list.
Yeah, it's crazy because when the releases were happening, they were saying, oh, the storyline's going to happen. He hadn't even come back on screen yet. He has now come back on screen and started something, and then it's just forget that. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Aleister Black is the one, I don't know, that him and Murphy are the ones that kind of surprised me the least, I guess, because I think those were names that we sort of figured might be on the list. But I don't know, Tempest, Ruby Riott, and Lana really, they seem as a bit of a shock, particularly Lana.
Yeah, I was about to say Ruby Riott maybe a little bit less so because she's never really been someone in WWE who's gotten a ton of push. She's always just kind of seemed somewhat low on the card and more of an indie wrestler than one of their creations. But similar to Braun Strowman, Lana has been a WWE product since day one. She has absolutely been one of their stars, and they've been determined to make her work in one form or another, whether that be as a wrestler or as, Rusev's, second or whatever the case may be. I can't believe that this is something that's gone on. Lana absolutely has felt like just someone that they have been absolutely determined to push and keep on television, especially after her documentary on the WWE Network and everything where she's talked about how, she's had to go through a lot of just trials and tribulations regarding, how she's been treated by fans and just her own confidence and everything. It really surprises me that this is someone that they've let go.
Aleister Black tweeted 23 minutes ago, I'm gathering my thoughts as this was... Oh, you got it here. Oh, well done, Pete. God, you are on top of things, aren't you? I'm gathering my thoughts as this was a complete left field for me. Obviously, we just started the Dark Father character, but this was it. Thank you so much, WWE Universe, for allowing me to create and give you small bits of myself. You want to talk about something that is like out of left field and a feeling like a last-minute decision. Correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't he just shoot a big angle on SmackDown, attacking Apollo Crews, attacking Big E, to, setting up a big program with them, and like inserting himself into the IC title picture?
Yeah, it's oh my god! Like they've been building up the re-debut of Aleister Black for weeks with this Dark Father character that we had, and they clearly pumped a lot into it. Like the production going into the promos, they had like animated all this like amazing like storytelling, like this amazing beautiful looking art that they clearly put a ton of time and effort into. And then he came back, he black masses Big E, and clearly setting up a huge feud with him. Then on last week's SmackDown, nowhere to be seen nor mentioned. And now this, like, it's baffling. It makes no sense. I don't understand where this has come from, why this happened. Because, you know, I'm sure without that tweet, I'm sure some people would have speculated like, oh, well, probably Black wanted out anyway. So, you know, maybe they just granted him a release. But this, him confirming that this came out of left field, like, I don't know. I don't know what to make of any of this. I know I'm repeating myself, but I'm completely dumbfounded by all of this.
There's a tweet I've just had, Ben, from someone saying September 1st is going to be a wild episode of Dynamite.
Isn't it all out September the something? September the 5th? Ooh. It's like that weekend, right?
It might be. I think Jenna's going to grab a calendar now and see if we can find out.
It's September 5th or 4th.
Yeah, while Mod Mother's looking into this, Tempest, Davis just did the news today, and one of the sort of reports about like Nick Khan's like promotion, he's now on the board of directors of WWE, is that a lot of this is cost-cutting measures, right? Like, and one of the, and I've seen a lot of this come up in the chat as well as I've just been reading the live chat coming through, is are we selling up? Because this is what companies do. They streamline departments. They get rid of a lot of big money stuff to kind of get yourself the best possible, like, sellable price of a company. Do you think that's where we're heading?
I think there may be some aspects of that. Now, first of all, I will say that I don't believe that cost cutting in WWE necessarily needs to be releasing talent, you know, because in the grand scheme of things, WWE is making billions off of these TV deals, off of their Saudi deals, the whole deal. Like, I don't think that cost cutting is something that needs to go on in a company like WWE, especially now with how much profit they've raked in over the course of the pandemic. But that being said, I don't know what figures each person on this list necessarily makes, but I know Braun Strowman made a good amount of money for the company. So if anything, I believe that he could be just like a cost-cutting measure where, you know, I believe he's making over $1 million. Again, don't report that, but I think it's north of 7 figures. And man, like, I can't imagine that people like Santana Garrett and people on the list are necessarily making enough money to really move the needle as far as cost-cutting procedures for the company. And that's where it loses me a little bit, where if you're going to cut someone like Santana Garrett, who's barely on NXT television, I really don't see the point of something like that. But I do believe that's probably the direction they're at least going to push from WWE. We talked about it in the writers chat for the website team, where, you know, Sean Ross Sapp tweeted last night that there was possibly big news coming and that he couldn't tweet about it or report it at the time. And we were thinking, oh, with a news embargo, that's probably like a new show or something possible, like a big announcement type of news. And then when it was, oh, there may be cost-cutting procedures, it came out earlier in the day, we were thinking, oh, probably more backstage staff, because they just went through and cut a bunch of backstage staff recently. We did not think it was going to be a bunch of WWE releases, particularly ones of this caliber. Like, I know, Pete, you said right off the top there that Braun Strowman is shocking. I must reiterate that point. Like, I would not have bet on Braun Strowman getting released by WWE in a million years.
I just want to highlight this coming here from Sarah, who says, I love how Mod Mother has a physical calendar.
Yeah, I mean, I am on vacation, so I had to bring what I could to stay up to date.
Yeah, well, and thank you so much for coming on here when you are on vacation.
Yeah.
I mean, we've mentioned Braun. Was there a name on there like that really jumped out to you from this list?
Well, I mean, sticking with the Braun thing, his storyline arc, in just the company has been insane, because people initially said they called him up too early. He's not ready. And then he put in the work, got ready, had, all of these storylines, all these championship runs, and then went away for a little bit, got jacked, came back and got a choo-choo sound, and now he's gone. And with him being gone, that means that Bray Wyatt is the only member of the Wyatt family currently in WWE, which is crazy to think of. I mean, all of these stables and tag teams that we used to have, the Shield, the Wyatt family, I mean, they love breaking up tag teams. Ruby Riott, that's another one. They have officially broken up the Riott Squad. Sarah Logan was gone first, and now, Ruby, and that leaves Liv. And I saw in the chat, I don't know if it's true or not, but if they do release Liv Morgan, that leaves 6 women on SmackDown's roster. Which is nuts.
Yeah, and they're all in the tag division as well. Like, that's an insane number.
Yeah.
And I think one of the wild things that stuck out to me as well, sorry to interrupt you, you're going to say something there. Something that I hadn't even considered. I didn't really think about it. There were reports recently of Zelina Vega possibly going back to WWE.
Yeah,
that's right.
Of her going to the Performance Center and potentially doing some kind of work there and filming stuff for WWE there. And you would have thought that maybe, that some of the what's the word I'm looking for? Like the relationship between WWE of Zelina Vega, who's obviously the wife of Aleister Black. You maybe thought that after a bit of time that bridge had started to be repaired a little bit with her going back to WWE, Aleister Black's still there, getting this kind of renewed push, getting this whole new character. And now that Zelina's gone back and potentially is doing something with WWE, now they decide to fire Aleister Black last minute, seemingly out of left field. It's insane. This is all insane. I just cannot get my head around it. This whole thing.
Renee Paquette, the former Renee Young, tweeted out 22 minutes ago, what a horrible mismanagement of some really talented people. Sucks. Ain't that the truth?
Yeah.
On a personal note, I'm so sad to see Murphy gone. Murphy. Dude, at one point in time, he was my favorite wrestler in the world. Some of the stuff that he was putting on when he was Cruiserweight champion on 205 Live and getting his WrestleMania match and getting kind of the recognition of the Cruiserweight division, all these outstanding matches that he was putting on, and just him getting that kind of goodwill with all the fans and people realizing how great Cruiserweight wrestling can be and his great storylines, and then him coming to the main roster and doing nothing, and then becoming Seth Rollins' disciple, and then it was like, oh, he's tag team champion and there's something there for him to do, and then he turned on Seth Rollins and then did nothing afterwards, and now he's gone. And it's such a shame, because he's genuinely one of the best workers that I've ever seen, and I want him to do so much more.
Sorry, I'm just going to say, just a bit of a request of the chat. Could we not just put random names saying that they've also been released? It's not cool, guys. Don't be those people. Don't just say random names. Only if it's an official thing. As far as we can tell, it's just these names as it currently stands. On the Murphy thing. Oh no, you go, Tempest.
Very quickly on that note, though, Luke, Andrew Zarian of the Matman podcast has tweeted more to come. ... So nothing has been confirmed or announced or reported anything yet, but he has a very good track record.
He's got a great track record.
So we should kind of keep an eye out for more possible releases going forward. But like you said, please don't just spam names in the chat. That's not cool. But yes, back to your point about Murphy.
I mean, yeah, I was just going to say, like, it kind of just sort of echo Pete said. Do you remember, like, during the Who Shot Roman Reigns storyline, or Who Ran Over Roman Reigns storyline, Buddy Murphy accidentally fell into that because he was just behind, like, he was just in the background of a shot. People were like, oh my God, it was Buddy Murphy that did it. And so they had to sort of, like, retroactively write him in, which basically ended up being him having great matches on SmackDown and then did nothing else.
God, his matches were always great as well. Like, every time he accidentally or purposely found himself in a match on any show, he always knocked it out the park. And everyone was like, damn, Murphy's a really good wrestler. And everyone was like, we know! Give him more of that!
We've had a couple of chats come through. Michael Rivera said, at this point, CM Punk's pipe bomb keeps turning out to be true. Strowman surprises me as an always uppercard to main event guy. Only Roman, Orton, Cena, and part-timers are safe. This company. Christian Black said, are we sure Zelina is actually black or not just working with WWE on the new 2K game? That's a very good point, because the report was Zelina Vega was at the Performance Center. She was doing stuff walking into the Performance Center, but we haven't had anything there since. So I've heard a few people suggest it could be something for the 2K game. And Stephen Guzman has said, Nick Khan recently said he wants WWE brands to be something a la Marvel. But how can that happen when they keep releasing wrestlers? Raw has been damn rerun show of matches. This is all so sad for those released. I'm sorry to go back to Braun.
Yeah.
He was just in your main events of your like your previous pay-per-view. He was just within the WWE title picture.
Yeah.
And I completely forgot, Peter, he beat Shane McMahon at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Honestly, what a name!
Baffling. He was Universal Champion last year, or WWE Champion, or whatever one it was.
He was Universal Champion. Yeah, because he beat Goldberg.
Yeah.
Holy. Declan Malloy said, silver lining here is these people are too talented to be out of work for too long. Braun will be a big get anywhere. Ruba would be an amazing addition on any women's roster. Lana and Mira can get back together. And selfishly, we can get Murphy versus Omega. Okay, so let's look at a positive side of this. Jenna, of the names here, where do you think they may go next?
I think that Murphy has a good chance to go almost anywhere because, I mean, he was on the 205 live scene, which is, like the flippy, fast moving. And that seems to be what wrestling fans are trending towards right now. Huge waste of potential on WWE, but he could do New Japan, what is it, AAA, AEW, anything like that. I mean, he's set.
Quickly, I've got a couple of noteworthy tweets here. Andrew Zarian again has said some of these names are people who are looking to get released. WWE has taken a very different approach when it comes to this. So we, just kind of like for the sake of context, it doesn't sound like everyone was necessarily blindsided by this news. Mm-hmm. So we obviously don't know which ones have and which ones haven't. So, it'll be interesting to see what comes out in the weeks and months to come. And Dave Meltzer.
I just on that note, I did get a message from editor-in-chief of WrestleTalk.com, Andy Datson, earlier. Possibly speculation, but in combination with that Andrew Zarian tweet, apparently Braun has recently said that he wants to be a bodybuilder. So it's possible that he did want out of WWE to focus on that more. Possibly. Yeah. That is pure speculation, though. That's not a report in any way, shape, or form. It's just something to consider.
Because that's the world he came from as well. He was a bodybuilding guy. I remember when he was on Steve Austin's podcast, and he was just like, I was a bodybuilder, like a competitive bodybuilder and weightlifter. So maybe it's just a case of, and again, as Pete said, pure speculation. Maybe it is just the case of like, I want to go and do this. I can't really do this while I'm under WWE contracts. And if you are looking to, but also he kind of looked like he enjoyed wrestling a little bit. Tempest, any names on there of where you think they could possibly go next?
Yes. But first, just before I get to that, I'll say Dave Meltzer also tweeted, they literally just shot the Aleister Black versus Big E angle. So that tells you, at least in his case, this was not thought about for any length of time. I was going to bring up a similar point where it seems like this was not something where oh, we're looking to release this person, they're on a short list, we'll take them off TV and then let them go. This seems like it's kind of come a lot more out of nowhere than in the past. That being said, I think of all the people on this list, I think Buddy Murphy has like the highest ceiling that has been like unrecognized. You know, obviously Aleister Black is just fantastic. Everyone kind of knows that. But Buddy Murphy's been really underappreciated by WWE to like a criminal degree. And he's a guy that people in the business in other companies will always point to as someone that they really enjoy his work. Kenny Omega has said that that's his dream match from WWE. Over AJ Styles, over Adam Cole, over like Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, all the big name guys that you usually think of as being like the top level workers of WWE. He's always pointed to Buddy Murphy. So if Buddy Murphy comes available now for AEW, I think he's absolutely someone that they will target. Whether he goes there or not, we don't know. I know he's been a big fan. He's been influenced by like New Japan and matches like that, you know, pretty heavily. It's been pretty evident in his matches. So if that's something that he wants to do, I totally hope that they would see that in him and be able to bring him on board, because, oh my God, has this guy just been totally underutilized by WWE. That's been like a running theme for God knows how many years, but Buddy Murphy is so good. And he showed it every time that he got an opportunity to have good matches or good promos. He would do it. Like, I don't know what there is to miss about a guy like Buddy Murphy. He's got a good look. He's got really good moves. He's got a nice moveset. He's cool. He's got like really good matches. He is like a really good package of a pro wrestler. And if they do a casino battle royal or something at All Out, I would put money on Buddy Murphy being the guy.
Just as a quick update on the tweet that you were talking about earlier, Tempest, from Matman Podcast, Sean has just replied to someone saying, they said, are there going to be more releases? He said, I think that's it. I haven't heard of any more. Okay. So we're now getting conflicting. I hope, yeah, I mean, because you don't want to see people lose their jobs, because that's always like a terrible, terrible situation. It's funny, actually. So I had a comment on a video recently that kind of like sort of took me aback a little bit, which is that like it was about like how we always complain about WWE, and their point was you complain about WWE hoarding talent, but then you also complain about them releasing talent. Surely you want them to be released. And I was like, well, no, this is systematic of the problem of hoarding talent, is that all of a sudden you then have too much of it, and you've got WWE had a bloated roster. A bloated roster that somehow seems to have the same matches every week, but they've got a bloated roster across like multiple brands. And now you're in this position where it's like, cool, and it is proper cost cutting. Like, this does feel like it's cost cutting stuff. I don't know where that is to sell.
Yeah, on that note, I totally agree, because it's not like here's the problem of they're signing everyone and here's the problem of they're releasing everyone. Those are not two separate issues. It's one overarching issue of we are signing these people so that you can't have them. We don't want them to be on AEW or New Japan or Ring of Honor or Impact or anywhere else. We want to have, like, we want this. We don't want this apple pie, but we don't want you to eat it either. You know, we will spit on the apple pie before we let you eat it. They sign these people, do nothing with them for like 4 years until their stock is at their lowest, and then release them. Those are not two separate issues. That's one big issue of how they sign and treat talent. And it's really, really frustrating as someone who loves the business and loves the work of so many of these guys and girls who just get signed, do nothing, lower their stock, and then have to go and find work somewhere else. It's nauseating.
Just to clarify, by the way, for anyone that's just joined the stream, the names of people that have been released currently is Braun Strowman, Aleister Black, Ruby Riott, Lana, Santana Garrett, and Buddy Murphy are the names that we know of right now that have been released from WWE. Just to clear up any confusion, because I saw some people not understanding in the chat.
Sean also said, someone asked him about Liv Morgan, and he said, I don't think she's gone, at least based on the info I have. So as far as we know, it is still those 6 names. We are getting conflicting things. It's Andrew, isn't it, from Matman Podcast?
Andrew Zarian, yeah.
Andrew Zarian, yeah. He tweeted out saying there are more to come. Sean saying he hasn't heard anything. And the other thing that Sean has added here is the only way I can rationalize these kind of cuts is for an eventual sale. Sorry, Pete?
That's right. I was going to read that tweet out, but yeah, I had it ready to go. So we're both on the same wavelength.
Sean saying the only way I can rationalize these kind of cuts is for an eventual sale. Several of these people signed big contracts before the pandemic when WWE were in talent hoarding. Lock them up for years mode. Jenna, do we think we're selling up?
Well, I saw a comment in the chat that said, do you think this means that they're going to merge the rosters? And I mean, it could, but then you have the issue with one's on USA Network and one's on Fox, two completely different companies. You know, they're not going to want, you know, hey, they're having this great match over here when we could have this great match over here in the same week. I mean, for the longest time, WWE was the company. And to think about a sale is absolutely insane. Like, I first started hearing about it today because I haven't been paying too much attention to the news. But I mean, it could happen, but that would be just massive, massive news.
A couple of other chats that we've got through before we get some more thoughts from you guys. Where did we get to? The Ron in the Room said, what do you think about trimming due to New Japan rumors? I'm going to throw to you, Tempest. What New Japan rumors could this be?
I mean, I know that there have been like backstage outcry, I would say, about how New Japan has handled the pandemic, especially recently. And just in general, I think New Japan at the moment is kind of like a cold product. So maybe they're not worried about stars going to New Japan, but I don't know that that's really here nor there. I don't know how much New Japan really has to do with all this, to be honest. I don't think, besides maybe just the WWE New Japan relationship rumors, but even still, I don't think there's too much there, to be honest. Like, the reports have kind of come out that the New Japan relationship, or at least the potential New Japan relationship, was as a way to get Daniel Bryan to work dates for New Japan because he wants to do that. And I don't necessarily know that there was much more to that. We only know what's been reported so far, and the reports have said that's kind of the extent of things. So I don't know how much of a role that will really play in all of this, to be honest.
Do you know what's nuts? Wrestling Travel just put up a tweet then saying Aleister Black's new t-shirt. Sorry.
Stealing my tweets, Luke. I've been sitting on those for 15 minutes.
Sorry. So, Pete, have you seen a tweet there, mate?
It's a crazy one from Wrestling Travel. They tweeted out that Aleister Black has a new t-shirt that is available to pre-order on the WWE shop right now, which is wild. Goodness.
Yeah, Aleister Black did tweet out that this was like out of left field. Goddamn sounds like it was out of left field. Also, it's just a bit of a personal update for me. There is a spider on my laptop, and it's actually like right by like my webcam lens. I keep watching it go back and forth, and I'm like, is it going to crawl across my webcam? Just freaking around. So if you get something that's a bit weird, it's a spider that's crawled across my webcam.
Apparently, there's been. I'm just about to check it now. There's apparently been an update on Fightful Select, which I'm just logging in now to check.
I've got it in front of me. It's mostly just kind of like a recap of what has been on Twitter. I will say. That being said, absolutely go over and subscribe to Fightful Select. It's probably the best source of wrestling news at the moment. But it's a lot more of like saying that releases were a surprise to many, and they have inquired about the end game of said releases. So it sounds like they will have more information to come, but not a whole lot of new information in this report itself.
Stephen Guzman said, I'm also...
sorry. Just on that Fightful Select update as well, apparently there's a lot of speculation about a potential sale down the line, but we've not heard anything about that from WWE officials themselves. So Talent is speculating that the WWE is going to be sold as well.
Okay, that's interesting. Also as well, like the two names I think that have come up about sales are Fox and Disney, because they're the ones like... I mean, say like Fox, like Disney kind of own, the movie division at the very least, but like Disney for streaming services, really. I don't know what Fox would do with it, but like Disney is a way to kind of like fill out like another section of Disney Plus, I guess. Or like Amazon were always a name that was a potential because they can put it up onto Prime and kind of like, but like, would NBC do it? Because they've already bought the network. So I mean, what would you buy if you bought it? Anyway, let's get onto the WWE chats. I'm just sort of rambling now. Stephen Guzman said, I'm also nervous how things like this affect NXT overall to fans. A lot of my friends have already lost interest in NXT due to bad call-ups. To be honest, I'm struggling to watch it now because I worry about them going to the main roster and then just getting released. I'm going to throw that to the NXT boys. And then I'm going to get Jenna's thoughts on that. But yeah, what do you think about like NXT fans' reactions to this sort of thing?
It's more of the same, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know? Like, it was Aleister Black's main roster run has been one of the most frustrating things in the world. Because, like, it's not like you look at some of the other people that they've called up, and maybe they don't have like the most charisma or the most character to work with, and so there might be more work necessarily that you would have to put into them to get them pushed by WWE's part. Just look at Aleister Black. Look at him. He's got a good promo. He's got the most unique look of anyone on the roster. He's a good wrestler. He's a unique wrestler. I don't understand how this guy could possibly be a miss, besides them just being absolutely creatively bankrupt. You know, like for a long time, I said that Sanity was probably like the worst NXT call up where they just came up, did absolutely nothing and were off TV. Like Aleister Black might be worse just because like they would bring him back to TV, take him off TV, wait 6 months and try again. Give him like, it's less than a 3-week push. They don't even do the push part. They just put him on TV and take him off again.
He did some squash matches, Tempest.
I mean, you could say the same thing about Santana Garrett because Liam just posted on WrestleTalk.com that she was scheduled to make her main roster debut on SmackDown. So, I mean, she technically got the call up and just never got to live it out.
Insane. She tweeted as well recently, just saying, thank you, WWE. Just a photo of herself saying, peace, love, and headband power. And then time to shine, women's wrestling.
I'm going to highly recommend everyone go follow this account anyway. Vince Googling is one of my favorite parody accounts because they've just Vince McMahon Googling just put, how long before AEW makes Braun Strowman an announcer? That made me laugh. A couple of more of your chats coming in. Craig, we've had quite a few. Maloas said, with the rate that we are going, can we see Roman's release in a couple of months? Jokes aside, this year has been one of the worst in terms of WWE product, and it's on track to become the worst. And yet, the decision is to release good talent. Yeah, Jenna, you have to put up with me and Ollie reviewing Raw in your sort of moderating capacity, which I can't imagine is fun. But it hasn't been a good show for a while now.
It really hasn't. And Sean had tweeted something yesterday. Or no, it was the fact that going in Raw, they're not doing their full Raw review anymore after the show. And I said, it really is telling about a product when Ollie and Sean decided to have a silent staring contest instead of continuing the Raw review. Rich put up a poll and said, what do you like better, the Raw review or the staring contest? And I think it was like 95% of the chat said they liked the silent staring contest. So, I mean, our chat is, they're all pretty good eggs. But they let us know what they think. And Raw has been really, really rough. I don't think I think it's now a majority of the chat that doesn't watch Raw, and they only watch either highlight videos on YouTube, or some have even stopped doing that, and they're just watching the reviews that we put out or any of the other channels put out. It's really gone downhill bad.
I just saw a chat then that I hadn't actually considered or really given it sort of much thought. That means there's now only 3 tag teams in the women's division.
Yep. I was going to bring that up before.
Yeah. Nia and Shayna, Natty and Tamina, and Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke. Because Lana's gone, so Lana and Naomi aren't a thing anymore. I guess were Carmella and Bayley technically a tag team? Do we want to count them?
No, they won't.
No, we don't. I know we've lost half the last Riott squad. We've got 3 tag teams left in this tag team division, and they felt the need to add NXT versions of those tag belts just in case.
Embarrassing. It's genuinely embarrassing how little effort they've put into these things. when they only introduced these titles like 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
2.
Yeah,
oh my
insane.
goodness.
I've got a couple things just real quick on the subject of Wrestling Daily, which is obviously going to be up in just under 3 hours tonight. Obviously, there's going to be discussing this in more detail, and any news that breaks between now and then will also be covered on that show. And one of the hosts of Wrestling Daily, Stephanie Chase, has tweeted out saying it's particularly heartbreaking to see Ruby Riott has been released. I just interviewed Liv Morgan this afternoon. She had so many hopes and dreams for their team.
No.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
no.
awful.
Oh, that must be so gutting.
Yeah. That's horrible.
Oof.
That's just so frustrating.
Yeah,
Because again,
it really
like they've never really pushed, the women that have been released today. They've never really pushed them, but Ruby Riott is good.
Yeah.
She's really good.
Really good.
She's done a lot of work on the indies, before, and we were talking about where people could go. We said at the time when the last batch of WWE releases came out that AEW should look into signing like the Iconics and Chelsea Green and Mickie James. They want to sign Ruby Riott to come back and be Heidi Lovelace again. That would be like another excellent addition to their roster. Honestly, like the vast majority of the releases today are the gain of every other company in wrestling, because I would bet dollars to donuts that every other company in wrestling could do a better job at getting the most out of these talent than WWE has.
Blind Raw says, I mean, any woman that has TV experience would be great for AEW. I have a feeling Braun himself wanted out because that's the only way this would have happened. Murphy to New Japan. Tommy End is back. I mean, as a Brit, him going back to the British indie scene would be very, very lovely. Maddie ID says, Ruby fits right into the new ROH women's division. Garrett would be great back on Impact. Black versus Allen in WWE. Yes, please. Murphy could go work in Australia until New Japan opens up. I think Lana might take the Summer Rae route and go into modeling. But yeah, or, unless she reunites with Miro on AEW, I guess.
Ring of Honor, that's the one that Maria Kanellis is kind of heading up right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That girl has a fire under her to, get actual stuff going. When we had her on, I can't remember which show we had her on, but it's just the chat at first was like, well, why is she here? And then once she started talking and saying, what she has planned and what she wants to do, I mean, any of the women that Tempest listed from getting released earlier, any of the women from today, huge impact they could make over there. Absolutely.
Yeah, I actually hadn't considered that Ring of Honor one. Sorry, Pete, just to finish up this point, I hadn't considered that Ring of Honor point. Yeah, and you're right, because we had Maria on the show, and she was just there to promote the Ring of Honor thing, but we had that conversation about, what can WWE do better with their women's release? And yeah, you're right, she had a fire lit under her belly that was just like, I'm here to put this back on the map. Yeah. Sorry, Pete, I just wanted to finish that.
No, of course. There's been another update on Fightful Select, specifically about Braun Strowman's release, which has said that, please...
damn it!
Hey, Ollie.
Hello, Ollie.
Sorry, there's just been another update on Fightful Select. Please do go and subscribe to Fightful Select, by the way, because it's the best source for wrestling news right now. And as you can see, there's loads of updates currently happening, so it would really worth your time to go and subscribe. Would be great. Patreon.com/Fightful. An update on Braun Strowman's release saying, but according to Talent Close to Situation, Braun Strowman's release was probably the most surprising to fans. But according to those close to Situation, it wasn't. Several that we spoke to said that Strowman's contract signed in 2019 was a monster deal, and that he very much knew his worth when negotiating with the company. It came down to the wire in the summer of 2019. And he was signed well into 2023 for what WWE sources claim was over $1 million a year. And he said to be very private about negotiating the deal until it was finalized. And that's supposedly one of the big reasons why he was released, because of his huge contract that he had.
Ollie Davis, welcome back to work. Nice haircut, mate. I know that's where you've previously just been.
Yep, just got a haircut to make the hair transplant less obvious. You bring all the other hair down a bit. Yeah, and I got a call from Andy before I went in. I was like, no. And when I came out, I saw the tweet. God damn.
Yeah.
God
So
damn.
one of the things that apparently talent, just to kind of like bring you up to speed, one of the things that talent have been speculating backstage, and it's actually what you were talking about in the news today, is the sale.
I did say it first, yes. It's so the Nick Khan, his whole deal is I'm a master deal maker. And generally, when you bring on someone like that, it's because you want to make a load of deals. And he has. And he's done an excellent Peacock premium deal. Like Peacock are paying so much money for a crappy product at the end of the day. Well over the odds. And yeah, like it's corporate downsizing, and because when a large company is sold, the buyer or the prospective buyers have to do a lot of due diligence on the run-ins of the company, and to make the company as attractive to those sellers as possible, you cut costs, you consolidate divisions, you lean up your operation as much as possible. Yeah, I think this is. I think it could change because the plans change all the time with this company. But I feel like Vince's last big business trick, now that the XFL has gone under, I bet he's really clamoring to be back at the top of the business world again. And the best way to do it is to be behind a $7 billion deal to Amazon or a $5 billion deal to Disney. He gets a place on the board. If I'm those companies, I would say no. That's just, when companies merge, you get the existing management team joining the board of the new buyer one. God, can you imagine that? Vince having to work with others.
No,
Bringing his business
I
practices
can't
in.
imagine that.
Yeah, if they do a sale, I imagine Vince's role will be similar to George Lucas's role in the Star Wars films at Disney, where he is a consultant, but isn't actually consulted on anything.
I mean, he didn't even listen
Lucas
to his own
owns a lot.
father when he said,
Yeah.
I'm going to give you this, but don't buy up all the other territories. And what's he do?
Yeah.
I believe Lucas owns a lot of Disney, though. Like he's got a lot of voting rights, I imagine. But for specific creative, day-to-day running things, he wouldn't be a part of it.
Someone just posted in the chat then that WWE getting sold was one of our predictions, one of our wild predictions for 2021. And I think it was one of Ollie's. So I thought, was it one of mine? And I went in and checked. Check this out. It was one of my predictions. Ricochet, War Raiders, Ali, Naomi, Kalisto, and Chelsea Green ask for their release. Bloody hell, I've only got one of them right.
Jesus.
About 10 names down. I got all of them wrong apart from one.
Do you remember my favorite prediction that I did was that Donald Trump will appear on an episode of Raw this year?
Yeah.
Still time.
There's still time.
There's a lot of time.
Peter Mullins said, me and the boys are so confused. Braun is Vince's guy. If you could plug a body out of his head, it would be Braun. Black and Murphy are Andrade levels of wasted potential. This would make sense if they had no direct competitors with new shows coming soon. But oh well. Bezo Banks, the name that hurts me the most is Ruby Riott. I echo Sean's point of her being the glue to the Raw Women's division in 2018, and her and Liv's drive was evident on screen and online. They should have been the ones to beat Bayley and Banks for the tag straps back at Payback. Yeah, we were. Yes, Ollie?
Sorry, I'm preparing because I'm going to make a video very quickly. What WWE's article says, no, not Buddy Murphy, but he's in the Fightful Select report.
It does. It says Murphy.
On the WWE.com article?
Yeah, it says WWE have come to the release of the terms of Braun Strowman, Aleister Black, Lana, Murphy, Ruby Riott, and Santana Garrett.
Mine? Yeah. Oh, Murphy. His name's not Buddy Murphy anymore. It's right there.
To back you up there, Davis, I couldn't find a PNG of him on WWE.com because I was searching for Buddy Murphy and it was like no results found. And I was like, oh yeah, because it's just Murphy. Zachary T. Robinson. Oh yeah, actually, the only thing I wanted to tell you as well is so Stephanie Chase of Wrestling Daily. Go and subscribe to Wrestling Daily because they'll be doing a big show on this later on. Just to fill you in, Davis said, particularly heartbreaking to see Ruby Riott released. I just interviewed Liv Morgan this afternoon, and she had many hopes and dreams for their team. Also, Aleister Black has got a t-shirt on WWE.com available for pre-order.
It's like 6 t-shirts, isn't it? Because I saw that this morning when I found that horrible RK Bro t-shirt.
Which the comments on news said that shirt wasn't that bad.
I know.
What?
It's the comment section.
Pete, what do we know? Can you make me a thumbnail, please?
I'm doing it right now, Ollie. I'm doing it right now.
Thank you. Okay, I might be back in a bit. I'm just going to record this breaking news to say what you guys have all said, but in 8 minutes.
Thanks, mate. Zachary T. Robinson said, seeing this so soon after the most recent cuts just makes it all so sad. Aside from the Roman storyline members, I can't understand how any WWE our staff talent could be vaguely begin to think they have job security. Maybe it's time for a boycott. Jenna, where do you stand on a potential boycott?
Well, considering the fact that I have been, in essence, boycotting them for about 1.5 years now, it's getting people to make that decision. You know, they're not looking for the casual fans anymore. They're relying on their lifers, you know, and my dad used to be a huge wrestling fan. Took me to my first live event, you know, when I was 10 or 11 years old. And it got to the point where he stopped watching it. You know, that's over 25 years of supporting a product. And he doesn't do that anymore. You know, we would go to the live shows and take our kids there because they enjoyed it. And we don't do that anymore. The kids don't even want to watch it anymore because they're not enjoying it. So I don't think it'll be a big group thing. It's got to be each individual person, you know, what is their breaking point? What causes them to finally say, I can't deal with this anymore? And I'm actually interested in seeing what the stock price is going to be after this because, you know, we've had releases before, but these are some serious, huge names. So it's going to do something.
Vash TS said, if a potential sale means removing power from the old man, I'm all for it. This definitely does suck, though. But here's a really interesting one I hadn't thought of from Decadane. How do you think live crowds will react to the company when they go back on the road? I can imagine some crowd being very sour on WWE if wrestlers loved by the crowd are easily discarded. Because they're back on the road very, very soon, Tempest. That's in July. Do you think, is it going to be the case that fans are just excited to be back and they're going to cheer no matter what? Or will there be some form of like vocal backlash against all of these releases?
I think so. I think that whoever is buying tickets to the first WWE shows are going to be like the WWE lifers. It's not like, I don't foresee a situation where they're going to be presented with an opportunity to like vocalize their contempt against WWE for releasing these people. It's not like WWE is going to come up and be like, oh yeah, by the way, we released all these people a month ago. I think they'll just come back and be like, well, hey, we're back. Aren't you happy to see us, guys? And the people that'll be there will probably be happy to see them. You know, it's not like if they just gave the entire internet wrestling community a microphone to air their grievances on their first show, yeah, there will probably be a large amount of people who are very upset with WWE, but I don't think those are the people that are necessarily going to be back in the building during the first few shows. Similarly, like to what Mod Mother was saying, we have kind of talked about how the WWE viewership for particularly Raw over the last few years, like just keeps getting lower and lower and lower. And every so often they'll hit their new record low and we'll say, oh, this is the new lowest it could ever be. They've run off so many people, but this is like the 1.5 million fans they've got on Raw now. That's as low as they can go. These are the people that are diehard WWE fans, will be fans until they die, etc., etc. But man, they just keep giving people reasons to stop watching. And that goes back to the last few years, whether that's the Saudi Arabia deal, which led to a sizable number of people canceling the WWE network, not just talking about it, but actually doing it. Whether it's that, whether it's just horrible, atrocious booking for years now, whether it's releasing people that people have been really excited to watch, whether it's botching NXT call-ups. Like, you can go down the list of errors that WWE have made of late, and you keep thinking that this is as low as the viewership can go. But man, I'm sure they were saying that when they got to 4 million viewers, down from, whatever they were, the heights of the Attitude Era. And it's just kept going down. I don't know if this is going to be another thing where come the next few episodes of Raw, they'll be down in viewership that much more. But if you keep doing these things, the numbers will add up eventually.
Gary's asking, where is the spider? It's crawled down the back of my laptop now, so I think we are safe from it crawling across the webcam. You're welcome, everyone. Yeah, I mean, Louis just messaged me there. It's an interesting point as well, that it's interesting that Zelina Vega is reportedly returning just as her husband has been released. We appear to have lost my mother, but I think she's actually back on a different stream. Is that right? Yeah, she is. She's got a laptop now. A couple other chats to get to. Zachary T. Robinson said, I stopped watching WWE proper a good few years back, but seeing how creatively and morally bankrupt they are to hoard talents, release them when they've got nothing for them, and the excuse is budget cuts, really boils my piss. The sheer audacity. Blight Patterson said, how does anyone not in WWE see that they are how they treat their talent? How many awesome people get wasted? See how they will release them on a whim, drop your push for no reason, and think, I still want to work there, when you have so many more options now. Dob 31 Entertainment, WWE are literally handing talents to AEW now. Strowman, Black, Lana, Riott, and Murphy will enhance AEW's already excellent product. Watch this week as WWE ridiculously paired Naomi with Liv Morgan just to see the state of this company. Oh, that's a sad one.
I've been half listening because I've been concentrating on making this thumbnail, and I just heard pairing Naomi with Liv Morgan, and God.
Yeah, there was a few people said this in our chat, and I think Mod Mother, you might have mentioned this as well. I wonder if this is the next big ratings push thing that they're going to do, the next big reset of ending the brand splits. And that's the thing to get people like, you need to tune into Raw because we're ending the brand split. You need to tune into SmackDown, which is like, if that is the case, that's going to go completely against what Fox was after, because Fox wanted the dedicated audience. Like, the whole point of this brand split was because of Fox. It was for USA. Like, they wanted the separate things, and then Fox really wanted the separate things. Jen, do you think we could end the brand splits?
I mean, how long has it been going?
2016.
2016.
Yeah. They gave it a good go. It's about time we ended it.
Yeah, I mean, they used to have the brand specific pay-per-views. They stopped doing that. They had the, it's a special, I can't even remember the words for it. Those Raw stars going to appear on SmackDown, and
the quarterly cross-brand wildcard invitational. Yes,
the wildcard.
Yeah, it's stupid stuff.
Yeah, they don't even announce now whenever a SmackDown star appears on Raw or vice versa, or NXT is going to be involved in SummerSlam, but then we forget that they exist. They're perfectly set up to end the brand split. It's just like I mentioned earlier. You've got two separate companies that are producing and putting out the show, and you have to think, what are their opinions on it, and are they going to be willing to work with you on that?
Couple of other chats that we have got here. So I'm getting so many notifications on my phone. Karim said, what if Saudi Arabia buys it just like Abu Dhabi bought Manchester City to promote their country? I don't see a media company buying WWE with the contracts they have in place with Fox and NBC. The whole country of Saudi Arabia buys WWE.
I can't see that happening. I think the top two is going to be Disney and Amazon. They're going to be the two things that will buy it. Yeah, I can't see anything else really.
Dob31 says WWE is literally. We just had that one. Peter Mullins, August 31st for non-compete. All in or all out, everyone? Who do we reckon? I know it's early, but I want the best for these athletes. And we kind of already said Buddy Murphy.
It's got to
be on in the Casino Battle Royale.
On that note, though, Louis has made sure to message me saying that Tony Khan has confirmed that the Casino Battle Royal for All Out is going to be a women's battle royal. And in that case, Ruby Riott would probably be a pretty safe bet. I mean, that being said, I think half the people that were released today could end up in AEW by the end of the year.
Easily.
Yeah. Amro says Aleister Black has probably been released for the same reason Saudi Arabia didn't want him. Eternal Blue said, I haven't supported WWE since the first Saudi show due to the Khashoggi murder. I get my WWE updates through you guys and elsewhere, but this seals it. I refuse to give this company money ever again. Therefore, you get it instead. Keep up the good fight.
There's been an update on Fightful Select again.
Yeah.
Again, I'd like to say, please go subscribe to Fightful Select. Great service. Best for wrestling news. Patreon.com/Fightful. It's the best place to get your wrestling news. Please go consider subscribing to them. News on Ruby Riott and Buddy Murphy's releases. Among the other releases that we've heard about, Ruby Riott's release definitely seemed to shake the WWE roster the most, based on those we spoke to. Riott was universally popular backstage and commended for her hard work often. Much of the same case with Buddy Murphy, who we're told was not in the creative forecast for WWE of late. There were pitches for Murphy to team with Wesley Blake again before his release, but they were ultimately shot down. Murphy was said to be easy to work with and generally receptive to creative.
Man, Buddy Murphy, what a main roster career he had, man. Like, I thought it was all going to go well. Like, once he got in with the Mysterios, I thought, man, this is it. Like, finally, Buddy Murphy's getting something. And then that was just all dropped.
It's wild, too. Like, I have never heard anyone say a bad word about Buddy Murphy. Every time someone would ask on Quizzlemania or whichever stream, who's the new SmackDown 6? Who's the new top, workers of SmackDown? Everyone, without fail, would say Buddy Murphy. He's so good. And especially funny enough, when we saw him wrestle Aleister Black in their feud a couple years ago, that was such a perfect example of, because they had like zero storyline in that feud besides Aleister Black wins and Buddy Murphy loses, and that makes Buddy Murphy mad. That was the absolute bare minimum storytelling they did, and it was fantastic. It was an excellent little feud, and when they moved from that into Murphy teaming with Seth Rollins, I also thought, they're giving this guy something. Finally, he's going to be able to show what he can do. And he did. He showed that he can consistently be a top-level talent on their show, but they don't care about that. And I don't know what they do care about. Because you get guys like that. Like, I have no reason to believe that Buddy Murphy shouldn't be like a WWE guy. Maybe he's a little undersized, but he's so good. But they don't care about that.
Liv Morgan's actually just tweeted out 3 minutes ago, whoever is lucky enough to get Heidi Lovelace on their roster, you win.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Right, Pete, did I steal another tweet from you there?
Man? No. No, you actually didn't this time.
Yeah, go me. Tariq says, seeing how badly WWE needs money and the subsequent releases, I'm not sure I should be glad or ashamed that I don't pay for WWE or watch it on TV. Won't start now. Instead, going to support you, lovely bunch of people instead. Bezo Banks said, I just read an article from Fightful where Natty said that she really wanted to work with Liv and Ruby because she sees their drive and she wants them to have their moment. None of your teams in the inaugural chamber match are together anymore. Do it better. Sean Blanford said, tickets for SmackDown's return in my hometown go on sale this Friday. I was thinking of going. After today, I'm going to pass. I'm going to get tickets to see AEW 200 miles away instead. Mark MC said, they got rid of Murphy and the Iconics. Think WWE need to stay away from Australia for a while. Another sad day in wrestling. Stopped watching WWE as a whole after the second set of releases. Never going back now. Hopefully the town can rebound and be okay. That is the one thing I would say, to take a silver lining, every single person that's got released. Like Matt Cardona actually tweeted out saying, you're all going to be fine. Like, every single person is going to be absolutely A-okay from all of this. Muscles Ripley says, WWE are touring Australia in 2022 with no Australian talent to push.
Oh my God, I didn't even think about that.
I know.
They gave Jinder Mahal the WWE Championship for 6 months to have 2 shows in India. and they're firing their Australian talent before an Australian tour.
They're just going to sign some more. They'll sign some more before they go on tour.
They've got Bronson Reed.
There you go.
And that's it. I think. I might be wrong. That's just off the top of my head. But yeah, in recent times,
Rhea Ripley, Tony Storm.
No, Rhea's Australian. Yeah, that's right.
Delta Vortex said, sad to see these people go. Braun had a decent turn as a multi-time champion, and oh my god, yeah, he was a Money in the Bank winner. I forgot that he won Money in the Bank.
Monster in the Bank.
Monster in the Bank. That's right.
And he cashed it in for Hell in a Cell. That's it. That ended in a DQ or a no contest. Unfortunately, the others weren't as lucky. Now they get an opportunity to do better, but I guess WWE need that big bag of money to get CM Punk back. And lastly, for now, Zach Bereznikis, sorry if I've said that wrong, said, honestly, this company continues to amaze me at the sheer level of incompetence in the area of talent management. Looking at the effort Triple H made to Alexander Wolf's to NXT UK after WWE ruined Sanity, gave me some hope that things have changed. What a shame. A couple more that just come in. Chinese or Japanese letters, I'm afraid. I don't know what it says. I've said these firings are ridiculous, but also might be a blessing for the release and our fans for those wrestlers. WWE have no idea how high they can fly. And Chuck Vick says, boggles my mind seeing all these releases, and WWE is still giving us an Eva Marie return. Wow. Hey, it might be good. The Eva Marie thing might be great. We don't know. So
yeah, Again, we've said this a lot because the Eva Marie stuff came up at a time when the last batch of releases were still fresh. It's not related, like a lot of fans like to correlate, oh, they're giving this person that we don't think is talented a push. Meanwhile, they're firing all these people. It's not really fair to her to put any sort of blame or backlash regarding releases onto her. She's just doing her job, so I would like to stay away from all of that, but at the same time, these releases are just maddening.
It's like the same thing with the commentators. They had a perfectly good Tom Phillips sitting there, and they released him and brought in someone new. It's not the new guy's fault, but would we have rather had Tom Phillips? It's essentially yes, but it's just it's still mad.
I've just had like a load of messages. Obviously, I've had like Louie and Andy like just sending me things, some of their thoughts. Andy sending me that my mic was a bit wonky. And then I was like, I've got another message. And I was like, oh no, what's it this time? It's from Oak Furniture Land saying, great news. Your order may be available for early delivery. Sweet. Everything's coming up Millhouse.
Yeah, it's a positive day around here.
Denise Salcedo, lovely Denise, has tweeted out an interview she did with Braun Strowman ahead of WrestleMania, where apparently he was super pumped about crowds coming back, and he can't wait until he can wrestle in front of the crowds again. And then now that they go back on the road, he's been released.
He won the Greatest Royal Rumble.
He sure did.
He
sure did.
That belt that we all forgot about.
Ian McWilliams with an amazing point. Shane Thorne is Australian. We can get Slapjack push. Slapjack can get the push. Eva Luno, should tweet out, Eva Luno is not happy about anyone losing their job. You shouldn't either. Yes, Pete? Using the Vince McMahon Googling one.
Yeah. Like 4 minutes ago.
Vince McMahon Googling tweeted out, what the fuck am I even doing anymore? Such a good parody account. Everyone should go follow that account. Also, thank you all so much. We've got this might be one of our biggest streams we've ever done. 7,700 people watching this stream. Thank you all so much for joining us on this very, very sad day. Please subscribe if you haven't already to our channel. We do lots of podcast stuff, and it's a grand old time. Let's see if we got someone just asked if we got any Ultra Chats in. I think it is Ultra Chat, isn't it?
Yes.
Thank you. Yep. Ultra Chats. Thank you. We have had no other Ultra Chats come in. Has there been any other news updates, boys, or should we call this one to a close?
Not that I can see. Let me just refresh. Fightful Select here. No, nothing new there. I will just say as a closing point as well, if you do want to hear more about all this stuff, if anything does happen between now and in like 2 hours time, there will be Wrestling Daily tonight over on the Wrestling Daily YouTube channel, and they'll be going over all of this stuff and more. If you've just joined the stream now and you want to know all the details, Wrestling Daily will be live at 8 p.m. UK time, which is in just over 2 hours time. We'll be going through all of that and more on that stream as well, for more of this.
Absolutely. Yeah. Who's on the show tonight?
It's Louis and SP3. Louis Dangle and SP3 of True Heel Heat. So great lineup. So yeah, they'll be going over all of this later on as well.
Yeah, and they'll be having a lot. Like I'm sure Louis speaking with his sources and see if he can find out some other information as well. So I highly, highly recommend that you tune in for Wrestling Daily this evening. It's going to be a really, really interesting show, that one. Yeah. Right, let's get some final thoughts from everyone on this. We've done about an hour and 5 minutes on this. Pete, final thoughts.
What the fuck? that's my thought. It's baffling. It's completely messed with my head. But like we've said before, all of these guys will be fine. They'll be perfectly okay. And especially now, like, you know, this isn't like April last year. The world's opening back up. We're starting to get crowds back. Wrestling shows will be coming back soon, especially by the time their 90-day non-complete clause is up. You know, fingers crossed, things will be relatively back to normal by then. Fingers crossed. So everything will be okay. This is just very shocking in the moment for some of these names on this list.
Mod Mother.
Someone in the chat just said it perfectly. If Braun can get released, no one is safe. And, you know, we've gone through these releases before, and it's like, you know, this name, but a lot of the names from today were in active storylines or getting ready to start active storylines. So it's just, what are they doing? What are they doing? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing as well about, actually, Joe, I'll say that in a minute. Tempest, final thoughts.
I mean, I think it's basically just summing up a lot of thoughts from the entire stream. I know a lot of people have been saying, and rightfully so, that everyone who's been released is going to be fine. Like, I don't think they're going to be, like, looking for work necessarily. But at the same time, I really don't think it's cool. Like, people are going to get released from different jobs, and that's always going to be a thing. But when it's so seemingly unnecessary like this, and as all the cuts over the last year and a half have been from WWE, I can't get on board with that, you know? Like, WWE is making so much money, hand over fist, from all the different deals that they've got going on right now. To see so many talented people getting cut when they didn't need to be cut, or even signed away from potential jobs they could have had in other places where they would have been bigger stars and used better. It's really, really frustrating to me to see, because I don't want to see people getting fired at all, anywhere. They'll be fine. They'll be able to find other jobs, but the mental toll this will take, even for a day, even if they have a really shitty day today, I think that's unnecessary and something that didn't need to happen, and I'm really disappointed to see it. I'm really excited to see what everyone will do in the future, but for today, it's just another thing on the list of terrible things WWE has done over the last few years.
One other thing just to add on because we've talked a lot about, like, you know, whether WWE is going to, doing this to sell up or like looking to get a buyer or anything. Brandon Thurston of WrestleNomics, who is another excellent follow. I'd highly, highly recommend. If you're interested in sort of like the economics of WWE and sort of like the real like insider business trading type stuff, he added in about Khan said new leadership came in on August and it's still year one. I would be shocked if WWE sells in Vince's lifetime. Nick Khan indicated to Cowherd that Vince has no intention to sell. So WrestleNomics thinks that it's not a selling thing. Maybe this is just a clearance thing. It is just a cost-cutting measure. It is just the pandemic has made them look at the books and be like, man, we're spending an awful lot of money on things that potentially we may not need. So maybe that is what it has all come down to. For more updates, please head on over to Fightful Select. Go to patreon.com/Fightful. Sean is doing just like the best work. Sorry, Tempest.
Yeah, just as well, Andy has made sure to let me know to send people over to WrestleTalk.com, as well as we will have reactions from people throughout the business, and any updates that come in over the next few hours and days will all be on WrestleTalk.com. So make sure to go there in case you need a recap of everything that's happened.
Indeed, yeah, because we are getting some conflicting reports. Sean is saying that he doesn't think there's going to be any more releases today. However, Mattmen Podcast think that there could be more still to come. So please go to WrestleTalk.com, make that your homepage. Go to Fightful Select to get all the latest news from there, and tune in to Wrestling Daily tonight with Louis Dangor and SP3, who will be talking about these releases. And I mean, fingers crossed, no more. That'd be nice. It'd be quite nice, but. We'll certainly see. Thank you all so much for watching this impromptu stream. Again, Tempest and Pete, sorry that this is going to ease up your NXT views.
Hey, we're on this show too.
Yeah.
You get the podcast plays, I guess. But thank you all so much, everyone. Do take care of yourself and all have a good day. Everyone do the Family Fortunes wave. Bye, everyone.